HHDG.
Peace, HHDG. We are on a morning session of HHDG Media, the podcast. A big shout out to everyone that's always tuning in through our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook group, HHDG, which stands for Hip Hop Discussion Group. As you can see on the bottom banner, you can go to our website, hhdgmedia.com, and go check out previous interviews, live as well as our written, music, our merch, as well as upcoming events. This is always made possible through our company, HHDG Media Inc., which consists of our 5 owners, Rock Vader KB, the Mayor, T. Smith, Skelly Top, and myself, Wiki. For this morning, we have a very seasoned, established MC that not only shows positivity, growth, and maturity, but puts that out there for us to also emit that same type of energy. And I've been listening to him probably since his first 12-inch, which was I know I still have it. It's not with me. Had Skills 101 on there, and the dope posse track Final Four. The amazing thing is, to step on the scene like that captures you, and it wasn't just the production, it wasn't just the features of people I already know. It was the main person, the main one setting the stage for everything, with his delivery, with his content. And it's amazing to, at this moment, at that time, I think Underground was still, really doing this thing. And I was listening to a lot of college radio shows, underground radio shows in New York. Halftime show was still doing this thing around that time. And for any artist to continue to be successful the way it is something that you might want to pay close attention to, because you can't be stagnant. You can't continuously just put out the same type of music and style without staying relevant. And our artist for this morning that we're going to interview has continuously shown what that ability is to elevate, speak with the people, do shows, and also network organically with, like-minded individuals. Currently, he has a great campaign, which, we're definitely going to talk about, his road to 33, which is 33 EPs. Right now, on May 31st, he released his 10th EP, The Magnificent, produced by DJ Views. The very first EP that dropped came out in January of this year, which was rather unique, produced by the Italian producer Samir. And we're going to definitely get into how everything formulated and what he wants the people to know, the purpose of the road to 33. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rhythmatic Eternal, King Supreme, REKS.
Peace and love, brother. Peace and love. Thank
Peace,
you
peace. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, beloved. Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, definitely. I got to say before we start, I appreciate your on your IG, you do your morning grand risings, speaking to the people.
Absolutely.
I think that's, that energy, when you start off your day, really emits throughout your entire day, no matter what goes on. Sometimes you pay it forward that way, and you receive that same type of energy from people, even though you didn't, give it at that very moment with them.
Exactly. That's the whole objective, and I'm appreciative that the divine ancestor gave me an opportunity to use this platform to speak to the people and to express how I'm feeling as I grow. and hopefully individuals who are going through anything can, take a moment, and it helps them slow down and breathe and do the things that are necessary to prepare themselves. Like you said so eloquently, like for the rest of the day, you appreciate what they get
Definitely.
by themselves.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the past when we bring a guest on here, but I wanted to do something a little different. Being that you've been doing this for over 20 years and looking back, the REKS of 2024 to the REKS of the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
what what um what would you see back then that you know now that with your progression and your positivity that's different?
Yeah, I think just I was unseasoned, of course, but I was raw and unabashed. I was unashamed. I was ready to take on and conquer the world, as many of us are when we're in our teenage years, going into our early 20s. We're excited to carve our path, and I think that individual um, needed to be that individual. And I'm
Right.
happy for that version of self, to help me uh, chart that territory and that terrain in a way that made way and made rise for what I deal with right now. Time and space is an incredible thing. It's a very incredible thing, and how uh, it captures us. It captures us in the moment. It
Mhm.
defines periods for us to either deal with traumas positively or negatively, and they reshape and shape us consistently. It happens for us right now, like, in the here and now. And it's going to continuously be this until we transition. So I think uh, it's a wonderful thing, that individual I was, and I'm super, super happy and excited to chart new terrain even still to this day, and be on the spiritual journey that kind of coincides and it sits parallel with what I'm doing with the music now.
Right. There you
Yeah.
go. Definitely. And
Mhm.
I mean, part of growing up is maturity. You know, there's no success without failure. So, tell us a little bit about growing up in Lawrence, and because most of us who grew up in not the best of neighborhoods, so there's people that kind of helped us, you know, get to a certain point, but there's others that never got that chance.
Yeah, that's so true. I think coming up in the neighborhood I grew up in, I think more than anything, it helped me, kind of sturdy my ground. I feel like if you can make it out of an environment like Lawrence, Massachusetts, there's so many other industrial towns or towns that come from uh, the aftermath of the period of the Industrial Revolution and so forth, so on and so forth. Migration of people out of a community into a new community. Lawrence was one of those communities where it had a lot of migrant workers, and there was no work. And so when that environment exists, we know what the aftermath looks like. And Lawrence, of my time frame in the 80s,
Hmm.
going into the 90s, was just that. So I grew up in an impoverished neighborhood, a violent neighborhood, a difficult terrain, but it helped me, uh, find what was going to be my escape, and that was my voice, like being able to navigate and just describe in my notebooks like what I was seeing, what I was going through, what
Hmm.
people I feel were feeling in the temperature of the time. It all became a part of my narration. So I'm so happy to come from what I've come from, because it made the fabric of everything that I am, and that my storyline has been thus far.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, a lot of your early projects were released through the Boston label Brick Records, which they did a great job of exposing me to a lot of artists from your area,
Absolutely.
Massachusetts, New England area. Um, Tell us how you ended up linking up with them back then.
Shout out to Brick Records, Papa D, Truth, Elemental, and Karma, and shout out to Land Speed, formerly Land Speed Traffic,
Hmm.
Entertainment Group, everything that they've done to help get visibility, global visibility to artists from Massachusetts across the board. And so my initial linking up with them was through a group called Schizophrenics. My brother Checkmark, rest in peace, Eddie Bones, and my homie Top Notch, Nachi. Uh, they were a local group from Cambridge, Massachusetts, who uh, inked a single deal to Brick Records, and
Okay.
I ended up actually ciphering in a cipher outside on Lansdowne, which is right across from Fenway Park. I
Hmm.
ciphered to get on that record. I was able to secure a 16 bar verse with Esoteric at the time, Virtuoso, and Checkmark, a song called Schizophrenic Mind State. And from that feature, Brick Records wanted to do a full record with me, and that's how it really all started. It was I really just got to give super shout out to my brother Checkmark for making it happen.
Respect the check
Super
mark.
dope. But in many ciphers and circles, forgotten, but like we know, like when we sharpen our blade, the type of individual we sharpen our blade on, you know what it's like. It's just like the basketball court. Like those who make it to the sport, to the league, and then those who like could have made it to the league.
Right.
Checkmark was one of those who should have been like very visible in the league. So shout out to Checkmark and Eddie Bones. Like I said, Schizophrenics. They kind of set it off for me.
Definitely. Definitely. And you also linked up with Static Selector early with his label Show Off Records.
Indeed.
I believe it was Gray Hairs was the initial.
Actually, nah.
Was it?
It was the very first album.
Oh, Along Came the Chosen.
It was the very
Oh,
Static's been around since Static's actual first uh, instrumental placement was on Along Came the Children.
ah,
He did his first production on Along Came the Children.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
And and we're proud of that, and I'm thankful for that relationship with Static through the years. Like one of the hardest working individuals in hip hop, and
Definitely.
we linked up very early on. He was DJing for me, and we became squatted up because he was just a tenacious worker and believer in his path as well, and he was booking shows out in Exeter, New Hampshire at the time. He's originally from Lawrence, Massachusetts as well, as is Terminology and a few others. But Static was hosting a show. We didn't know each other, and he wanted to actually get this other MC. Shout out to another super dope MC, formerly Elder Head Toucher Larry Chiba, and
Yes.
Elder Head Toucher. He wanted L there. L, if anyone knows about Elder Head Toucher, I mean, when I was sharpening my blade, he was the one individual who, like, when I listened to lyricists locally,
Mhm.
I was like, he's untouchable. This dude is just untouchable. So I sharpened my blade constantly, thinking about how nice L's pen was. And Static wanted to get Elder Head Touch on that show, and I had a manager at the time, Shay Boogie, and Shay Boogie was like, "Well, we'll get you Elder Head Toucher, but you have to put my man Rex on." And so that's how it happened. I got on the showcase, did my thing, and he loved what I did. We took a liking to one another and became homies, and the rest is history. You know what I'm saying? That's how it all started. Yeah,
Nice. Salute to Elder Head Toucher and Static
absolutely.
Selector. Man, wow.
Yeah,
And see, these are one of the beautiful stories I like to hear because there's so much history that a lot of us don't know. We enjoy the music, but those networking and just being able to vibe and have that organic connection is created a lot of music that we just didn't know how things begin. So I love to hear stories like that.
Yeah, I get it. I feel the same way when I go back and I listen to so many of the ones that I'm still a fan to the end of this day. So uh, always going to be a fan, always searching, seeking. When I hear new stories, I love it. So
Mm.
I'm thankful for many of the podcasts, for many opportunities. The show that you have right here, this platform gives an opening for that, and I hope individuals take that as an opportunity to give to the people. Come on these shows and do that. So blessings and salute to you for bringing it to the people this way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
um, when it comes to emceeing, I mean, you mentioned Ella Head Toucher. um, who was an early influence also aside from him that
Locally or like
locally here?
definitely my crew, Lucky Dice, Chi Knox. We started off as Mass State Committee and Diesel. Actually, we started off as Gen X, and we had a female MC by the name of Kiki Breathe Life, and you know Lucky Dice on day one was one of the main individuals that I worked with. Chi Knox, and there's so many sharp blades. I used to sit at the Western Front in Cambridge, Mass. There's so many showcases in Cambridge as well. And people got to recognize Cambridge is not Boston. Like a lot of times they always say, when they say they're going to do a show in Boston from out of town, they say they're going to go to Boston and they end up in Cambridge. Like the Middle East legendary location, Western Front. A lot of these locations are in Cambridge, Massachusetts, its own huge city. And I said that because there was this showcase, the Western Front, and we used to go there. They have open mic nights, and I go to these open mics constantly.
Hmm.
And usually the main act would be like acrobatic and Mr. Lift, killing it.
Oh
You
man.
know what I mean? Killing it. And that's how I really learned how to perform, watching acrobatic and Mr. Lift. Like I watched how vocally sharp they were,
Hmm.
how engaging they were, their personalities off of one another. I just enjoyed so much like the learning that I received from my peers who became my peers. But at the time I was just a kid in the crowd, a fan, you know. And so I'm blessed to have worked with many of these artists in my career, and I think individuals like that, Edo G, who I've toured with constantly, he was massive as far as influence early on. Obviously, Guru, obviously, Crumb Snatcher, a brother by the name of Scientific who died too young from my city, Lawrence, Massachusetts. Even the ones who came after me, like Terminology, who is a trendsetter and is a continuous like workhorse and he has his good dad game book out right now. He just
Yep. Hmm.
nonstop motor machine and I'm so proud of my brother and I'm happy to watch his path and to learn. We can constantly grow and learn from one another and the list is kind of endless. How many dope MCs impacted me early on?
It's so much.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And
And,
not
and
just not just MCs, producers and radio show hosts. Shout out to Fax One and DJ
all
Mike
around. Yeah.
on 88.9 and 88.9 being like a major platform for us. Emerson Radio. Massachusetts is a heavy college town, so you know we had access to the colleges. College radio was big for us,
It's
but
big. Yeah. Mhm.
major radio was not doing it. You said it's big there.
No, no, I was saying college radio is very
Yeah,
big
yeah,
for the
right.
radio underground. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's what kind of like led the way for us, kept us afloat, I should say, because artists like myself and individuals who are on this underground platform who have a message, who adhere to a certain like sound, like we call boom bap, and like the aesthetics are like many say the golden era of the sound. They when people wanted to put that to the wayside, it was college radio that kept us afloat for a long period of time. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Hmm. And for me, um, I went to college at the University of Miami in '96 to 2000. Um, but before that, growing up, in New York, listening to all the underground radio shows, then I
Hmm.
go down there. I majored in computer engineering, but I also did internal work at the radio station. I had one of the main things that I did was pretty much listen to a lot of music. They just hand us a bunch of CDs, go through it, tell us what you think about it, and it was all different genres. But at the same time, they had their own hip hop show. Shout out to them. It's a WVUM, the hip hop shop, and
Nice.
they were playing, the same type of music I was listening to up here. So I kind of felt at home when I was tuning in. And
Hmm.
that's again, like you were saying, it's important, and they did a great job of continuously showcasing independent, unsigned artists.
Exactly. Yeah, that's an incredible. I think it's global. It's a global thing, and shout out to you said it was the hip hop shop.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the locations and the stations that are like that. The hip hop shop like that, carried the way and kind of like stood out from the crowd. I spent a large about 8 years of my life in Broward County, not Miami, but like
Hmm.
in not
Yeah,
not South
it's just
Florida.
north of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Miramar for a very long time.
Okay, I'm familiar.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. My sons went to school in Broward County, and so I'm very versed in like the underground scene in Florida. And people would be, I think people are surprised when I tell them how vibrant it is. I knew so many cats. Like shout out to the bench warmers, Knowledge Medina. I've dropped two projects. People with Mnemonics, who's from Florida,
Hmm.
Revolutionary, and Hazardous Sounds, who's from Florida. Well, originally from New York, but in Florida. Many of you know Hazardous as the engineer for Drink Champs. So like, these are individuals that like, I was in that cipher very early. And so, shout out to
Yeah,
all my Florida people. I had to say that because, you know, I definitely got my Florida ties.
definitely, definitely. And, when you mentioned terminology, I wanted to give him a big shout out because he just dropped a book that I need to go cop as well. There it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, definitely. And being that I brought that up is being that we're both fathers, and we're older in age. I've been taking care of my health, for a few decades now. I used to, when I was younger, not properly understanding health, was all into weightlifting. But as I got older, I slowed down with the weightlifting and mixed more of maintaining, my flexibility with the stretching. I got back into doing a little bit of martial arts. Now I mix in yoga and a little bit of qigong, tai chi.
Love it.
But a lot of things is as you get older, you gotta listen to your body more, and you gotta take care of yourself. And it's not just your body; it's also your mind and your spirit. So
Well,
my question to you is, when did you see that in yourself and know that your spiritual journey it was going to continue to elevate as well?
I feel I was constantly on that path. I was seeking, I was seeking outwardly for a guidance, but you know, shout out to my mom and my village, like who had it rough, and it takes growth and aging to recognize and see perspective, like
Hmm.
what my mom went through to raise us, and how she couldn't be all things to us all the time. And so like the things that like I was seeking, because she couldn't be that, because she was so busy being who she had to be for us, that led me on the path to like kind of seek outwardly and start looking at things that we were doing to destroy ourselves, and looking at anatomy and looking at um, the environment around us, toxicity, like, that comes from politics and economics and, you know, s-
Right.
uh,
Hmm.
societal just norms. And I think as I just became an avid reader, and those became like my teachers, like the Sheikh Anta Diop's and the Francis Cress Welsings and the Dr. Sebis later on, but when these individuals became part of like my navigation, that's when like my mind just truly expanded, and I started to acknowledge what I needed to do for my physical. Because the part of it is it's easy to enter all this information into the mind and then not activate it. You know, and the activation part is what affects really physical. And when we start to tap into spirit, I think the spiritual always been there because I was always given religion very early on. But there were things
Hmm.
I had questions about that I just didn't agree with. Without disrespecting any of my grandparents who were Jehovah Witness, my mom who was a Christian to this day, there were just things I that didn't feel applicable to like who I am as an individual. So I had to seek out again, outwardly, and I consistently did this. And my personal search, my personal growth, I found what worked for me,
Hmm.
what made sense for me without negating anyone else's belief system. I think Christianity has been a powerful instrument and beacon of hope. And it definitely did a lot of awakening for my mom, for my sisters, for individuals I know. Uh, and what I dove into was all interwoven into like again what Pamela, like my mom's, like what she went through and what she dealt with, and the ones before her what they dealt with. It's all a cyclical thing, but like when we can break that cycle and
Yeah.
figure out that, like you said, 20 years you've been taking care of your health, and at some point there was something that was a paradigm shift for you, a paradigm shift moment. I think the biggest thing for me was knowing that I needed to seek outwardly. And now in this space and time, I'm doing a lot of inner standing, and overstanding. But that period required me to go outwardly. You know?
Let me see it in the comments. Peace to the drywall artist. He said, "Rex Grand Rising got me thinking about grounding."
And right. Oh, good, good. You gotta put your feet into the earth and respect and appreciate that reciprocal relationship. When we start to like tap into our studies more, when we start to tap into the stuff that we learned very early on, because I feel like when we're young, coming up in difficult neighborhoods, like impoverished neighborhoods, we get we don't get really the full plate. So like we get all this information and it's more like memorize these individuals who might have done, like instead of really learning a lot about Albert Einstein's actual work, we learned who Albert Einstein was and what he was about, and he had this theory and he had. But then when you delve, like, if you do a deep dive into like what he was really on, with physics, and then like you're like, wait, this is you tap this into what's going on with the ancients 3,000 years ago. You're like, okay, wait a minute, like that's really tapping into a deeper realm. And so, you know, I think if we look at it on a scientific, on a spiritual, on a varied scope and a varied level, we'll be able to recognize it's not so insane. It's not so um, hard to believe that we should be grounding, that we should be sitting by a tree, and spending time embracing and talking to our water and doing fire rituals and things that have to do with the elements and what they're really here for. For so long, they've been ignored. Like a lot of times we go outside and we ignore the moon, we ignore the stars, but they have a profound effect on how we exist day to day, you know? Tapping in with my wife and seeing when her cycle is and what is going on with the environment around us, it makes it easier to navigate that world and take a pause and a step back and be more of a listener when I need to be a listener for my wife, or for, my daughter, or for like women in general. And when I need to fall back, especially in the environment we live in, which is so male dominated. Still, even though all these wonderful things are happening to support women, I still think we're miles away from where we need to be in honoring and respecting the divine feminine. You know, uh,
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was saying I definitely agree. And just what is it, 14th? About a week and a half ago, my youngest son had career day, and I volunteered to go and present there. And one of the key things that you just mentioned, there was a few girls that when I explained what I do with my IT job and 911 communications, it piqued their interest, and so I brought up that the city interns, you know, like right out of high school. So,
mhm,
I put that in their ears, to let them know about that because, again, the IT world is still male dominated as well, and
right.
just allow young girls and women to also know that they have the opportunity to be out there as well.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. That's wonderful that you put that out into the atmosphere. And, for them, you see immediately the energy in the, that's a powerful feeling. Like you can't mimic or recreate that. That's just a reflection of something divine.
Right.
So that's wonderful.
Mhm.
And I appreciate hearing that.
Definitely, definitely. Now I want to get into how you started Rex Drops 33. But being that we were speaking of books first, I just want to show this because we were speaking on Albert Einstein. And this book right here, if you can see that, is a great book for anyone of any age to start reading. And it opens up a rabbit hole to all of the pioneers that are in this book.
Let's go. I like that. Yes. Yes. I'm actually personally like I have not seen that book, and I'm writing it down myself. So thank
Okay.
you. I just wanted to, so you see me like I do this all the time. When I get a new book suggestion, I gotta
Hmm.
get to it.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
I gotta really, okay. Let me lock this in. So I got it. Yeah, appreciate that share. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Definitely, definitely. So 2023 is when I first discovered that you started speaking on Rex Drops 33. I was started seeing the hashtag and everything. So
Hmm, hmm.
explain, what was going on and how this all came to be.
Well, so this became what I wanted to say in the beginning, like my pandemic back. I wanted to say like a lot of what was going on as far as our transitions and what became our new normal, and during COVID and quote unquote like this whole virus situation. What we won't really tap too much into that, but I had to build the studio in my house. I had to like I had to become self-sufficient and self-reliant to be able to like stay afloat. And I just was nonstop. It was like one of the most incredible opportunities for me to just be activated. So I was testing my singing voice. I was testing like uh, different kind of beats and like not really staying coloring inside the lines. I started coloring a lot more outside of the lines and feeling free. I think we find our truest voice when we have the freedom to like test out our voice on our own. We become playful. We get that little childish energy back. And I think it was fun. It was fun to be able to like be in a room by myself and just play around and laugh at myself and just create. And so I did a lot of that, and then I started thinking, in my teaching, in my studies as a student, I'm getting to a space of mastering, my art, my craft. Like I've been doing this for an extremely long time, and I wanted to, test myself, but also, come out and with a bold approach to like what we're doing. Like, a lot of people are putting out, a whole lot of music, but a lot of it I personally wouldn't consider it quality in devoting time to penmanship and lyricism. And so because of that, like, and that's just my personal feeling. That doesn't mean that be the truth. That's just a perspective. And in saying that, I say that, you know, I wanted to test what I could do with quality and quantity. And so 33 is a mastery number. 33 is like, you know, is divine. Like a lot of times individuals have the wrong connotations of like, you know, numbers and what they represent. The sacred geometry, math, and science is all in us. It's innate in our melanated, you know, just who we are. And so I had to tap in that way. And you know, 30 at 33, just it's the one that stuck and hit for me. So like I was like, this is the path we're going. And my wife likes to say, you know, this was originally 50 projects. I was like, yeah, I said I'm gonna do like 50 joints, like, uh, but I kind of like, you know, in my mind already had this vision. It's quite similar to when I was doing the Greatest X. I had like probably 100 recorded 100 songs, which became like 30. I think it's something like 35. There it is. Well, I don't know how many's on there. Maybe 35 or something. It's been a while since I looked there, but there's a bunch of songs on
Yeah.
there, and it's quite similar to that. So I was some of this is like, you know, pre-recorded like a year or two in, but a lot of it is on the go. You know, a lot of it is on the go. I mean, I'm right after we're done, we're gonna rise and rituals, then I'm right to this. I'm right to the studio. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Let's give the people the visuals from the title track. What happened to the rainbows? Your eighth EP.
Yeah. The actual visuals.
Yeah.
So shout out to my Queen Philosophical, who she's been doing a bunch of visual capturing a bunch of visuals to my lyrics. And a large thing that was a big thing that we started noticing through the years is that because I have a tendency to rap a bit faster, like I have a rapid delivery, and then also like I'm saying so much uh, in a 16 bar verse,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes some of it gets like lost in the flow of what's going on. And many artists, I think we used to pride ourselves back in the day on people having to press the rewind button. Oh, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? And it's like, you know, I got so caught up in that loop, like where I was like, you know, I gotta figure out ways to like be like so in depth and so like, you know, and that just became my style. And the thing is, like, you know, that can be a plus and a minus because, like, you know, when you strip down to the bare essentials, some of our greatest poets, greatest artists have had
Right.
the simplest of flows and the simplest of patterns and approaches to delivering a profound message. So, what happened to the rainbows? I'm not so, you know, all over the place with it. Like, I think what happened to the rainbows is stripped down in a very deep message on, you know, what is going on with the environment and the toxicity of the environment
Yes.
we live in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and what we're dealing with when we look up in the skies and we're like, you know, it's a metaphor to, you know, what happened to the clouds, the changing of the clouds, the changing of the trees, the changing of everything that's in our environment, and the new normal becomes okay to us. Like we just adapt. We adapt to a new normal that, you know, it just isn't correct. You know, the preparations are all there for us. We see it through television if we watch television. We hear it in the media if we listen to media. The propaganda machine is so swift. It's so swift,
Yeah.
and in real time, what's going on with social media, um, like I don't want to get so deep to like or confused like where my mind frame is as far as, you know, transformational things, but the atmosphere we live in, this real time and space existence right now, 50 years from now, like the new normal is going to be an extreme version of what they're giving us and feeding us right now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I had to take something simple. I had to take off the autofill or the auto suggestion on my phone. And then my wife and I were sitting and having conversations, and I'm like, you know, my phone gave me a new update, and it's like, yo, you have to update this, and it's an AI cloud generated type of suggestion, and it's a tool. And I was telling my wife, I was like, oh well, how do she always helps me with my settings, and I'm like, well, how do I take that off my off my phone?
Yeah.
She's like, you can't take it off your phone. It's there.
Yeah. Once you update it, yeah.
And so I had to wrap, like, even though like what she said was obviously it made sense, it made no sense. It's like, wait a minute, we've come to a point where I don't. She was talking about, oh, I'm about to go back to that old Nokia Nokia phone I had, and I'm like, well, are you gonna be able to like avoid it if you go back to that phone? And she's like, oh, that phone was swift, and like, oh, but no, like our new normal, we got so conditioned and transformed into this new normal with
It's
high
true.
speed access, and we fall into that trap. And then when we slow things down, that like the breath, when I'm like, slow down and breathe. We're breathing, yeah, but we're not really breathing. So you have to slow down. And when you adjust to that proper tone,
Yeah.
that's when it gets like, whoa, okay, we've been doing all this. Like you get on the train and you look around and every single head is bowed down,
Mm-hmm.
not praying. Man, like the world we live in, this new normal, it's a tough thing to fathom, and I think my intentional approach to like how I address what I have to address in my music is more legacy driven than anything. It's not driven by like the time we live in, because like a lot of times we say you can't talk to your peers or individuals like this. They too far gone. They're too set in their ways. Family, friends, all these individuals set in their ways. They're not going to transition or change. It's
Yep.
tough to say, okay, I'm gonna exercise for 30 minutes. But the youth, they're gung ho on, like, they have that energetic spirit, like you said when you told the girls about the IT. You're telling everyone, but it was wonderful to see these girls like be energized by that.
Yeah.
And I write with the intentional approach that, like, 30, 50, 70 years, so my children's children, like progeny, like
There
the,
it is.
that is the individuals we're attempting to affect. So like when they listen to that message, that's how I feel when I read books from individuals from the 1800s or from the 1700s. I'm like, yo, I'm transfixed into that time period, and I'm like, yo, that defines kind of like I look at our story, not history, but our story, right? And I'm like, yo, this is like, we have to look at how things have gone through this time. And these writings, we can't take them verbatim because this is somebody, unless it's science and math and it's fixed. These are
Mhm.
just individuals giving you their narration.
Yep.
Read between the lines of all of that. What was the environment like? So yeah, I mean,
It's
that
and
what happened to the rainbows? Yeah, I
yeah.
apologize. It went all there,
No,
but
no, no, no. That's all good.
I feel the way.
It's all good. Before I play it, you just reminded me of something when I was in college. I had a history teacher. A white history teacher is originally from the UK, and the very first class, he questioned us. He asked us about who, when you open up a history book, who is it talking to, and how is it narrated? He was basically saying it's being told from one particular person. So it's not the entire history of those particular historical moments.
Mhm.
And from that point on, he got me interested in his how he taught. So
Mhm.
from there, he also did a film history class another semester after that, which I attended as well. Because for a teacher to go and start the first class and ask people that and open up their minds to understand that the history books are one sided.
Yeah,
You're not gonna always have a history teacher tell you something like that.
to the victors go the spoils, and the victors tell they
That's right.
yeah, they narrate the story. That's indeed true.
Yep.
Do you remember that teacher's name?
I'd have to look it up. I don't remember his full name.
He sounds like he was one of them ones, like that one of the standout ones. So salute to him,
Hmm.
wherever and however he exists, be it in spirit or like whatever, like that's always a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's play this.
What happened to the rainbows? What happened to the rainbows? All I see is chemical skies. They took our clouds away, replaced them with the spray paint ones as we play dumb, diddy dumb. Uh-oh, from below, my optics identify flying objects. There they go, there they go.
Look up, look up. The planet is not shook up. We basking in the ambiance. That orange agent has such wondrous flavors. I can really taste the warfare. Plentiful deficiencies. Instead of nourishment, I get zooted out. That feeling hit a little different from when I hit the blunt. Sirens can't hear sirens. Walking right into the ovens. How my lashes and brows looking? Feeling sleepy? Pick up the phone. Come get this money, my G. Sirens can't hear sirens. Sirens can't hear sirens. Yeah, look up.
Nature's elements ever so elegant. Chemical weapons is used to increase pestilence. Breathe, please, ease back. What happened to the rainbows? All I see is chemical skies. They took our clouds away, replaced them with the spray paint ones as we play dumb, diddy dumb. Uh-oh, from below, my optics identify flying objects. There they go, there they go. Jimmy Butler got the bag, but ain't lost the beast. Talk is cheap, offer sheets is obsolete. Walking dead, walking streets, peace, hotep. Fire to go fetch, master building line on back. Staring past the ceiling, past the chemical trails. Inhale, exhale, get lost in metaphysical prevails. I can see the ancestors well deep in the blackness. The nothingness from everything is practice. The most assured lack this, it's all theatrics. The world's a stage. Jim Carrey ways confuse the atlas. At least I last digress about the flatness of the third rock on axis from a bird's optical view. Snapchat this, drones on your home's elite tactics. Fingerprint the side of my Samsung. Used to plan us with crack rock and handgun. Now they predetermined in your plan, son. Minority Report is real. Orchestrate the death of us. 42 laws before Moses commanded Exodus. What happened to the rainbows? All I see is chemical skies. They took our clouds away, replaced them with the spray paint ones as we play dumb, diddy dumb. Uh-oh, from below, my optics identify flying objects. There they go, there they go.
What happened to the rainbows?
Absolutely.
I love those. I love those visuals. It fit it perfect.
I'm gonna let my wife know. I know she'll be happy to hear that. She put so much time and effort into, putting a visual to a lot of the things I have to say. And she's the one speaking in the beginning. Obviously, the spoken word. She's an incredible spoken word artist, and It's just it's it's poignant, like I feel, and it's a juxtaposition because the way she did it was so cool that it's like, wanting to be transfixed back to an older time of like
Mhm.
how it was simpler and we could breathe the fresh air and no chemtrails and what have you. And then at the same time, we're using AI to like give you this visual, so it has like this really almost eerie vibe to a degree at points because the trees are moving. But this is true. This is the reality that outside of AI that would just truly be true.
Yeah.
It's what's happening.
And what you were talking about before with the updates on the phone, um,
Mm-hmm.
they're continuously pushing the AI. And I just read earlier this week how they're gonna, the Apple, I think the next Apple iOS version is gonna have the Chat GPT integrated with it, and it's also gonna be working with Siri and everything. So
Yeah.
can't get away from it.
Basically, no, so this is the testing. This is a testing ground, right, for a chip. It really is.
Yeah,
Like at the end of the day, it's the testing ground. My wife said it, and I'm like, like it was obvious, but like again, I have to keep going back to her because I defer to her to like many times when she simplifies things that we make so like deep, like it really is like that. Like so the phone is like a prototype. It literally is. And we can see it that way because, like, jokes are that, like, prior to this, when we were younger, we could never fathom this being the reality.
that's true. Hmm.
But this is going to be, like, so archaic and ancient to many individuals who just exist in a new normal 100 years from now, you know? And when nothing has led me to believe, unfortunately, that we're moving in a more positive direction away from this propaganda machine, just consistently and continuously having its foot on our neck,
Yeah.
in tomorrow's neck, because that's just a reality that we've accepted for thousands of years.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's scary how much it's always in front of us, in real time. Whereas when we grew up, you, you had to wait for certain things to develop, and now it's there all the time. Which is one of the things which I do with my two sons, my wife, is we always give them that time away from it and let them explore other things. Sometimes they don't want to go outside, but once they're outside, they don't want to come back in.
yeah.
And same thing with the music. We play music that's current and older. And just recently, we I got my oldest son the Michael Jackson Bad on vinyl because that's one of his favorite albums. Now he probably wouldn't have known about that if we didn't play certain music that piqued his interest. And
Mm,
and
right.
then and I would say probably last year he asked me, about Gangstar? And I started naming off certain songs and stuff. And that type of vibe of a connection you're not always going to get, but to play older music around your children piques them to enjoy and appreciate, not just what's already being blared through the mainstream radio in current time.
Absolutely. I think I had a similar experience. Both of my sons, well, my youngest, he's not really into anything specific yet, and I
Hmm.
think my older, my son who's about to be 21, he's producing, he rhymes, he's in that vibe, but like there was a period where he didn't want anything to do with hip hop, and it was more so because he was gaming and he was into like music that kind of coincided with what he was doing,
Hmm.
and then a period came like because he was always again like you said with your children, you're playing all this older music, and I was doing some of the same, more soul records and like a lot of Stevie, a lot of Marvin, a lot of
Yeah.
Nina, and these sounds just like their vibrations, so those tones remain with them. So I really thought I'd be the same for my youngest, who I have to shout out because he just graduated, about to go to high school.
So,
You know,
congratulations.
so that's always a beautiful blessing.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, it's incredible to see them tap in and learn for the music and start creating or start falling in love with what they fall in love with.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Yep. My youngest son, he goes to sleep to Ella Fitzgerald.
oh, nice. That's wonderful. Yeah, enjoy the true artistic uh, stylings and music, and never to take away from individuals who have an opportunity to get away from their tough difficulties and environments that you uh, we come up in that are just hard and full of trauma. But we're all, no matter where you are, if you're coming up in impoverished towns, or if you come up in a rich society, you're still going to deal with trauma.
Absolutely.
Whoever we are on this earth, whenever you're dealing with life will keep life. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you're going to deal with it. But I say that because, individuals who come up in this difficulty and in the trauma, you know, the music becomes the music based on that. And to see, you're setting an incredible example. Again, 100 ways to be a better dad. You're
Yeah.
setting an incredible example, and putting your son to sleep, or your son just deciding to go to sleep is a reflection. It's absolutely a reflection.
Yeah.
If he's going to sleep to Ella.
Yeah. Definitely. And for a lot of I stress this a lot. For a lot of us black boys, we need someone to speak with. So I always make an effort to either sit down with them individually or together, just to see how their day is. I can tell when his emotions might be a little off, and I'll ask them certain things, and just, bring them to the side and speak with them because they need that. I don't think growing up, I didn't get that enough,
Yeah,
but being around, other children and seeing how certain things are, I think they need that type of communication, that talk even more.
indeed. And I agree with you, and I appreciate that reminder. Like, to like just always be consistent with that. You know, I feel I do, but I'm saying it. I know you're just speaking it in general and generalizing it, but it comes as a lesson, and sometimes we have to take heed and recognize in individual statements things that are lessons, continuously reminders
Yeah.
and lessons. So
Hmm.
I appreciate you for that, beloved.
Yeah. Appreciate you. We You also, and I didn't bring it up, so I'm gonna bring it up now. You also have hoodies currently
Yes.
for Rex drops 33.
I do. If people want to go to my link tree, they can check out the hoodies. They can check out it's a Rex Drops 33 first dosage. We're about to release a second dosage sometime this summer. With the next projects will be full of 11 projects, and then the last set will be 12. So a lot of people are like, okay, well, you spent this first period of time doing 10 projects in like 5 months. Like, what is the next goal thing look like? Well, the next is, like, I broke it down 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, and as the months go further along, there are going to be more projects. So in 5 months I did 10, in 4 I'm doing 11, and in 3 I'm doing 12. So that's how the math is math. You know what I mean? And I appreciate this challenge, and again, it's got me invigorated. I love the way it's invigorating people in my inner circle to,
Mhm.
like, come up and look up ways in which they can kind of you know be challenge themselves in this hip hop thing that we love. Again, like I said, I'm a kid in the candy store. No more candy for me, but I'm a kid in the candy store when I'm, like, in that studio, and I can record myself, and I can kind of just you know go at my own pace and work the way I like to work. So, um, shout out to everybody out there, kind of like being self-sufficient, and, figuring out many handles and titles. I said, my wife, she's doing spoken word, but she's also doing the videos. You know, she's rhyming with me. She's my hype man. When we do shows, she's on stage spitting, you know, numerous roles. We play numerous roles. And
That's
like
lovely.
we do a bunch of different things, and we have to like acknowledge and recognize that
Yeah,
about how we can live in our traumas, but we can also be thankful for us being a divine reflection. And none of that is ego driven when I speak about my greatness. I speak about my greatness because it's a reflection of something higher than myself, and it's all connected to the all. Like it's all connected to the divine ancestor, the divine ancestor,
yeah,
the ancestors who came before us and got us. You know, for sure.
yeah. That's beautiful to have that type of relationship with your wife. You
Yeah, absolutely. It's a thankful thing, and obviously we go through our things, and we deal with life as it comes at us, you know, in real time, you know. But we're very committed to acknowledging the fact that we're on this reflection path, on this path of being better than the day prior, and no matter what we're going through, we adhere to one, you know, like key component, which is our path and like what our objectives are.
yeah,
And nothing can deter us off the track enough to say, okay, that's not the path. You
definitely agree. And for those tuning in, I also put the links for Rex's Bandcamp, which has all 10 EPs on there, as well as the link for his link tree and for the hoodie.
thankful, brother. This has been wonderful. Like, yeah, I appreciate this time, this opportunity.
Absolutely. Definitely. I appreciate you. And one thing I like is each EP you work with one producer on each one. And I know is and I've heard it before, you have a certain chemistry and you want to keep that going. So for you, is that what was one of the main purposes of doing it that way?
It was the majority of these records are like that, and I have a
Mhm.
few that are with MCs where like it's just me and another MC. There's a few that are coming like with some MCs who I rock with. Like last year, 2023, I did one with Half Cut out of Calgary. That didn't make the Rex Drops 33, but if you heard that, you know it's like we put a lot of work into making that sound quality. And we did work with one producer, Cuddy Fresh, and I think the big thing we have to focus on is getting back to that like that working chemistry where it's like not copy and paste and send through the mail. Like
Right.
I literally was in Milan with both with both Samir and
Mhm.
with Nezra in their studios. And
Nice.
like I went to Metro Studios in Milan and I recorded with Samir. Then
That's
I went to uh, Nezra's home. He hosted me in his home, and he has a studio right in his home. And we've done recorded in every type of studio imaginable, and it was a comfortable, very incredible vibe. Nezra took good care of me, and we did a vibe called Yes. Of course, shout out to the legendary Master Ace who he flew in his verse, and that's what it's gonna be,
yes.
you know. And Superstar Snuckle did the same thing when we were out in Milan with me. But as much as we can get that like chemistry together,
Yeah.
I recorded with Chill Ill. I recorded that in Austria. I went to his home. I have some coming with individuals in Stockholm. I have ones with individuals in Canada, in Australia, in Africa. I have projects coming with individuals all over the globe, and I think like it's very important when you can be in the environment with the individual to be in that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, I love hearing that. That's great.
Mm-hmm. So
Definitely.
I'm super excited about dropping the remaining 23.
Mhm.
Um, Individuals need to stay tuned. There's some like surprises. And then one other thing I need to say is like, because not all of these, you know, many of these producers don't have like the biggest name. And I wanted to make it clear that like my objective wasn't to seek out like the individuals that I know I can call. You know, like I can call an individual and I can just kind of like create this record in a certain way. Um, this wasn't that. You know, this was another approach. We're gonna get this done, and then I'm gonna do more of that. It's coming. Like I have things down the pipeline. 2025 is already becoming a design already. You know, like I'm already kind of mapping that out for the most part. But 2024 is definitely 100% about you know, Rex Drops 33 shining a light not only on my career but on these other artists who are exceptional at what they
So
do.
much
Very
talent.
very talented artists who just don't get enough you know, fanfare or attention.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to all of them because I believe this, you know, this is how the underground, you know, really surfaced. You know, it was a lot of unknown talent. And big shout out to you, you know, still having that ear for these producers that are out there like that and working with them.
exactly. I mean, I appreciate you saying that, and it's going to continue that way. I'm not gonna alter this approach. There are people who told me I needed to adjust to the algorithm, the approach that we have with DSPs, with digital service providers, or streaming platforms, however you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
But no, the system adjusts to us. Like we don't adjust to the system. You know, like I'm gonna put out this material, it's gonna feel good, it's gonna like drop the way it drops, and the numbers can do what they do. And like everything else will work itself out. So when people can't see the attention that they're like, oh Rex, you're so underrated, you're so underrated, you're so underrated, that's all good. That's all good. But like that's just time and space. That's just another thing that is dimensional. And like I'm not caught up in that because again, this is legacy building. You
Yeah.
know, this is something for 100 years from now. This isn't necessarily for right
Before we go, one question. What's one of the, how would I say, what's one thing that you would say has been important to maintain being able to put out music the way you do?
now. Being able to, you know, differentiate between, you know, advice and you know, hate. You know, at the end of the day, you know, like for lack of a better term, you know, like being able to know who's in your corner to kind of like really see you flourish and thrive, and watching for it don't matter who it is. Yo, the negative vibes come from, you know, individuals who just had a bad day, and you love them. You know, you sit and love them constantly. You spend time with them constantly, but like they can be the purveyor of things that are dark and unnecessary. And I say dark more, not not tapped into the system's version of that, but like ominous and like more, you know, muddy and mitote-ish.
Yeah.
You know, that right there, like that energy comes like in an odd way, and being able to differentiate between the two is absolutely incredible.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. Definitely.
Or
Peace and blessings to Rex. I appreciate this interview. Definitely, you know, again, more than just music. You know, this is a journey that I appreciate experiencing through my ears, as well as what I learned today with this interview. Um, let everyone know where they can reach out to you, as well as where they can go and support your music.
appreciate you putting the links down, and I appreciate you taking the time to read. This was a very well put together and presented and a great safe space to like speak. And I thank you for that, for providing that. If individuals want to reach out, they can go to imrex.bandcamp.com to like support all of the 10 projects and make sure that like I get more of that, you know, feel good, like, you know, representation. And then if they go to my link tree, they're able to navigate the DSPs and stay afloat and attuned to like how to support. I have a donation button on my Spotify, like, you know, we've taken it there at this point. And then the last thing I want to say is, and very important, is every rising I'm waking up again and getting to Green Rising rituals. I'm spending time reading in real time live on my IG. Join us. We're gonna start incorporating YouTube and Twitch and other things. But like I want to make sure that we get back to like just reading,
Yeah.
building pyramids. And it won't always be like the spiritual books are what I'm on right now, but I'm also gonna tap into like the Federal Reserve and things of that nature. I did some of that in the afternoons, but I started reading for like 5 hours, so like online. So I just want to figure out a way to do it for 1 or 2 hours. And then, that's what we're on. But that's where people can rock with me. Next week I'll be in Boston. If people in Everett, excuse me, I'll be opening up on Juneteenth for Talib Kweli. Shout out to Sky Zoo, Landon Wordswell, my brother Bakari JB for putting me on this bill. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful environment. So looking forward to a surprise appearance at the well, which is not a surprise.
So good. And you just reminded me, you just recently did Pieces of the Culture in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Shabam Sadiq, Indigo Phoenix, Frank Knight, Jay Ronan, my wife Queen Philosophical, obviously, like I said, she hyping for me, DJ Yachts who DJed for me, and shout out to the brother John Jiggs and many, many more. Like so many dope artists out there, art and culture. Shabam Sadiq's trying to bring something super dope out here. For those who don't know, I do live in Georgia now. I've been in Georgia for about 3 years now. We are here. We are planted in the South.
Shout out to Jay Ronan, who I just recently interviewed, and I also Indigo Phoenix as well in the past.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Dope. Yeah. Dope people, dope vibes. Yep. Shout out to the low culture. They are on it. They've been vibing and necessary for the hip hop culture for a very long time. So shout out to everyone. DJ Bizarro, list goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Rex, and for everyone tuning in. This was a special one, and I appreciate everything that was said today.
Thank you, beloved.
Again, the latest EP, The Magnificent, is out now, produced by DJ Views. Again, he gave the where you can go and check those out, support, and as always, this is HHDG Media, and we're gonna say peace.